Good morning. I'm back with the exclusive about veterans being in prison. Now, as I woke up this morning and did what I normally do, pray God first and then put myself together, make my smoothie, want to breakfast whenever I could, I read across an article that I really want to read to you. And like I said before, my father is in Mississippi. He's locked up. He's a veteran. Now, the case stated that my father apparently, well, you know what, let me read this to you first and then I'll talk about the case. Okay, now they seem to care so much about the veterans and they're deciding that they're going to give them a VA benefit in prison. So, I read about this article about them helping the vets to get the benefits, which we all know that would be truly a mistake. They will only probably give them a certain portion of it because they cannot have all the money while they lock up. And especially if they have been giving a significant amount of time, like more than 10 years. So, they will probably cut them down to 30% or 20% in order to have them survive while they're in prison. Or if they have to pay for medical, whatever the case may be, they'll use that money for that. So, but my father suffered from PTSD. So, as far as I'm concerned, there has not been any help, and I haven't seen any help from Mississippi. They gave him a regular attorney. He did not get a government attorney like they normally would do when vets get in trouble while they are in the Army or Marines or the Navy. So, but this article says help for the vets with PTSD who are convicted of crimes, and it was posted by Margaret Walworth. Now, so many of them that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and they're convicted of crimes. Now, the limitations as far as help is concerned, they could keep appealing their case. And they will call, what they did for my father, they call him a psychiatrist to be a witness for him to represent his case, but they did not find him insane or anything. But in majority of the time, they have found many of them guilty. Now, the situation that I cannot understand is that they train these officers to kill and to protect us in war. So why are they not doing more for them so that they will not get? And if they do get accused of crime, why they don't give them special help by the government instead of locking them up and putting them in prison? Why they just don't put them in a medical facility for PTSD? But instead, they have to keep appealing and appealing. And my father appealed this case like 2 times already. So it says that this can be a ground for appeals, or if you were convicted in a state that's recognized PTSD. Now, Mississippi has not recognized PTSD, and they have not even looked at it as being self-defense for my father, who was a victim in a crime was plotting against him because he had met some people down there after my aunt had died. My aunt Evelyn had died, and he met a young lady, and her family got involved, and she moved herself into his house, and all kinds of things had started to happen. The things he had for me, I did not get because she took them with her when the case was over, and the lawyer who represented him did, like I said, pleaded insanity of defense from what I gathered, but what I tell you about the case is going to really shock you. Now, when I read the case, and you're going to have to excuse me, I'm looking at my phone. When I read the case from the Mississippi court, they had stated that my father was asleep, and him and this gentleman had got into, I don't want to give you the gentleman's name because it is a court document. But my father was asleep, and he was sleeping. Apparently, him and the gentleman had an argument before he went to sleep. So he laid down. Now, in this given situation, my father took a rest because I know during a certain time of day he would do that because I would be on the phone with him and he'd get off the phone with me and be like, I have to lay down. So Mississippi did not recognize his condition, but they criticized him for having a weapon because he had a rifle in his home. Now, when I looked at the case and I was reading the case, which I'm gonna bring it up in a few moments. The case didn't make any sense when I read it, and I have done, like I said, I graduated from Robert Morris University of paralegal, and when I kept reading what was going on with my father's case, I could not believe the information that they put in there. The documentation was so messed up. It was not clear. Whoever wrote it didn't put all the information in there, and there was so many missing pieces of. I'm gonna have to look it up again. So many missing pieces of it. That when I read it, like I said, I couldn't believe anything about it because then in the notation later on it says that he were when the police came to question him, it was actually it's documentation that's on Facebook now recently for 2008, and it said about the judgment. I'm gonna download it right quick. So the courts took him back until 4/17/2008, and the court took him back. Grand jury, Washington County, indicted him for one count of first-degree murder with a firearm enhancement. Like I said, he had a double-barrel shotgun. And followed of our jury trial, he was convicted of a second-degree murder with a firearm enhancement and sentenced for 40 years in the custody of Mississippi State Correction. But listen to this. When I read the case to you, because I have another. Now, this lady, I'm not going to read her name to you because it's protected by court documents, and I know that. The pair had dated and moved in with each other in Greenville, Mississippi, and they referenced my father as her husband. They didn't represent him because he didn't tell me that he was married to her. And the reference to her husband and wife, and her brother Albert Triplett. I wasn't supposed to say the name. And but anyway, young lady and her brother was visiting, and apparently they must have had a good relationship. They said that my father testified that the relationship was good, but it's something in the document that is missing. Then a young lady, her niece, was a witness also in the case. Now, the gentleman that my father was, they said the gentleman has forced himself into staying with my father, and excuse me, in his home, but he, like I said, he wasn't married to her. He wasn't married to her at all, but there was a gentleman that was stopping at the house, and from what I understand, he was a person that always come to visit. And then it said my father had testified against the brother-in-law, and we already know that wasn't his brother-in-law because my father wasn't married. And this other gentleman had an exchange of words, and music was played in the house. So beer was beer was present into the home, and the young lady that he was with stepped out of the house. Now, me personally, if I'm at home and it's me, my son, and I have his father here with me, and say his brother comes over, and his brother's wife comes over, and his niece, I'm going to get in a confrontation with, I'm going to see my boyfriend get a confrontation with someone, and I'm going to leave the house in this confrontation. Knowing it's not safe for him, because anything could happen. Anything could drop off at a pin could drop, and the whole situation of the argument could start. Now, apparently they were really, really comfortable at my father's house because they would come and visit him as far as the young lady is concerned. And she apparently had to drive to the gas station all of a sudden and leave my father alone with her brother and the gentleman that came by. But check this out. The gentleman that came by that had to testify in the whole situation had got killed in a car accident, apparently. But it said that my father had went to sleep. And now PTSD syndrome itself, that my father is on medication. Why is it that and the symptoms of trauma, and as you know, we have always seen it on TV. It deal with deep-rooted trauma, early childhood, or pain disorder, pain intense experience, overwhelming abilities to cope with everyday life. But see, like I said before, when I talk to my father, he would experience, he would need to lay down. That's what I always got from him. But then they say you have problems with mood disorder, eating disorder, substance abuse disorder. Well, I know he wasn't on drugs, but still, the substance disorder can also be alcohol too. You can consume a lot of alcohol, which they do. So, and that was one of the problems that my father was having before he went to Mississippi. And while he was down there living with my aunt, he was fine. Until my aunt died, and this woman walked up into his life, this whole situation had changed. I mean, when I would talk to him on the phone, he was fine. But all of a sudden, this whole atmosphere with him, his atmosphere of change, and the going to sleep, which is really, my father's the type of person, let me explain to you. My father's the type of person, he won't argue with you. He won't argue with you about anything, because I'm the same way. We won't argue with you. We would not argue with you at all. The moment that you make us truly, truly mad is when we're going to have a confrontation with you. But as far as him picking up a rifle and shooting, that's the last thing you ever think about. He would rather fight you in order to do that. But since he's so old school, picking up the rifle would have been just a bit to push you as a threat and get you out of the way. Because a lot of people's first reaction would be that. Anybody would do that. So, but listen to this. They said that the police was called after the gentleman had left. Now, this is the friend. And he had a brief exchange with the gentleman. Now, he had a brief exchange with the gentleman, and my father was asleep. So, Apparently, she testified that her daughter wasn't there, and she haven't heard that she heard my father and her brother arguing. But there was a confrontation where they said, witness said that they heard this her friend, the friend of the brothers, they said like that, arguing first. So two people arguing about something, and my father is asleep. So apparently they had to have some type of argument about that was secretive. And if my father took any medication and didn't tell me that he was on any medication, the medication knocked him out, and he wouldn't be able to hear the conversation. Now, the argument, what was the argument about, and what would it contain? I bet you any amount of money it did contain something about him, because they knew that my father was getting over $200, and in Mississippi, that's a lot of money in Mississippi, because he wasn't paying really that much. He was renting a house. He was paying lights and gas. He was paying for internet so I could communicate with him, and we could do video chat. And he had he was paying on something else. He was able to save enough money where he bought a RV. So when I came down there, my son could stay down there in that RV because he had a 2-bedroom. Now, like I said, this situation with him and this woman had happened right after my aunt died. So I believe that it was premeditated on her part to introduce herself to him and get to know him, because all of a sudden things had started to go down and bad as far as my aunt had just died. He was feeling a bit lonely. I was supposed to move down there, but didn't get a chance to, because I had other things happening in Chicago. But anyway, then they said apparently the niece came to the house, and after she met up with my father's girlfriend, this is her niece, she came to the house. Now all of a sudden the niece comes to the house to check up on her uncle, and she noticed that the door was open. And when she entered into the door, and it's funny how she had this young lady call my father by his nickname, and she called him uncle. So, and which is funny, they prefer this gentleman the same way, call him the same name that my father had. But it said that she found a puddle of blood at the door, and when she asked where were her uncle at, my father was up, and he said that he shot him. Now, again, the argument they had before my father even went, after my father went to sleep, because he moody, when moody, you have this order, he's going to go to sleep. He always have been like that. I would be on the phone with him and talking to him on the phone, and he had to get off the phone with me. So, but she came and she found my father, and she asked him what her uncle is, and that's when this statement was made. Now, in the reference of this woman was staying with my father. They were husband and wife, but she was staying with him. And in reference to the court records, they said that it was their home. They called it their home. And the young lady, Denise, and another woman appeared out of nowhere, found the brother lying on the floor, and he was lying face down right down on the floor. And it was, like I said again, it referred to my father, and they put her name first, not my father's name. My father's name was second. The young lady's name was first. So they put her name first. They said her, let's say Jane, they put Jane and John instead of John and Jane. Home. And then it says, and I'm just going to use the reference of the gentleman, Joe, has been shot and he was bleeding. Now, as I continue to read on and on about the case, this officer came in and to write a report. He's questioned my father, which officer not supposed to do. Blood is present in the home. Automatically, he's supposed to call for backup. He's not supposed to question my father what had happened. Right away, they tell him they have to put him in custody. He's not supposed to be questioned by the officer. Now, he could ask him, what do he think had happened? But he cannot question him, because in a court of law, he cannot be questioned until he gets a lawyer reputation, representative to be with him. A lawyer must be present at all times when an officer is questioning anyone. So, and right then and there, he's supposed to have put him under arrest, because again, you come in a home and it's blood, so you have to even to be cautious of officers see that you're just gonna automatically put under arrest, put in the squad car, and they're gonna observe the place and take pictures and photograph everything, and should be questioned at the station, because there's not a legal representation there, and they didn't do that. It stated in the court records that they asked him questions about what happened, and because of the scene of the body was discovered the scene of the body was discovered in the street, but it said he was in the house. So again, something else is wrong. But early on in the documentation, they said that the body was in the house, front door, in the house. Now I'm reading the 6th paragraph, and I stated that it was discovered in the street. So then the 2 officers testified that there was no scrape, no bruise on my father, and testified that he saw a shotgun in my father's bedroom closet. And my father was arrested then and taken to Greenville Police Department. Now again, it doesn't make any sense. They're not supposed to question him in the proceeding of anything that occurs. Automatically, he's supposed to they're supposed to give him his rights, put the handcuffs on him, and put him in a squad car, and then they're supposed to come in. This police officer supposed to come in and take pictures and everything, and then that's the first rough draft of a crime scene, and they did not do that. Now, the situation happened. This situation goes on even further. Instead of doing that, they question him in the home. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to automatically, it's like you assume something, like you assume this person committed, but they have to get everybody that's involved and living in the house under police control, because they have to question everyone. But again, remember, I told you that the young lady that he was involved with to the gas station. She went to the gas station and she left my father with these 2 men, her brother and the brother's friend. So there was a plot against him automatically, and every time I read this over, I keep saying to myself, I know this was a plot. They was plotting to do something to my father, but by my father being a Vietnam vet, he went and did exactly what the father would do, put him to sleep first. And then the conversation or argument, he would sleep. And while he was asleep, they would assume that he cannot hear anything, but we all know the Father has ears and eyes everywhere. So, and the thing, the situation that caught me off guard is because they weren't supposed to question him. Now, the gentleman got shot in the lungs 3 times. Now, I wonder, now, we all seen CSI. But even I seen CSI, and I'm a big fan of CSI. And Patricia Cornwell books, by the way. So, an observation, a point of no return is whether distance a bullet went through and how, and the length of it. The body was what? Outside, so they would have to bring a dummy in to even place the body in a position. Now, I said it was outside when they found him, but a young lady stated that he was inside. Now, how did the body get outside and inside? You can't have two bodies in one in the same way. So, again, something was wrong. Now, he got shot. Let's say he got shot and he walked himself outside, but in the statement it said that he was in the house face down. So that is the first marking that they have to make between the bullet shots and in reference to him of being shot in the lungs twice. Now, for a person to be shot in the lungs twice and get up and move and go outside, I have never seen that. Now, stomach, yes, but lungs, to be shot in the lungs, that's penetration going through your lungs really quick, and your breath is going to be taken away from you. So, and especially with a shotgun, come on now, a double barrel shotgun will blow your lungs to pieces. So again, that is another thing that they have made a mistake about. Then they say, okay, the lieutenant came and did an interrogation on my father. In the former department, they shot, okay, they had an investigator come in and do an interrogation on my father. They don't call him a detective, they call him a detective. And the statement of the lieutenant and investigation, I'm not going to, I'm just saying going though. And he said that my father shot the blank out of him, the gentleman. Now, you know my father the way he is, my father will never use the type of language because he don't cuss like that. He will have never used that type of language in reference to anything. He will put it in a military form because he's a military man. He will state it in a military form and he will put it in a military manner. He will not have used that whatsoever. That is somebody who lived on the streets and have been doing crimes all day life on the streets. They will make that statement, I shot the blank out of him. My father won't use that. My father's a military man, so he would never put that in preference, first of all. And that is a lie right there. And I know it's a lie. And then they said during the trial that my father, they convicted him with second-degree murder, with a firearm, and a statement of sentence for 40 years. Okay. 5 years for firearm enhancement. So my father made a special weapon. Enhancement means he made the weapon suitable to his needs because he has been in the military and have been in war. So he had enhanced the firearm to be justified to his liking. So again, I know what that means. To run consecutively. So he positioned his firearm in such a way that they was impressed by it because it's a firearm enhancement. And then to file a motion to J&OB or for a new trial, which trial court denied my father that. And this is recently for 2018, so it's only been a year that passed by. And this is like the third trial. So cited Bradford versus State. It was cited to significant evidence review on the last occasions that the trial court ruled, and significance of evidence. I would have to go research them. I'm not concerned about those cases right now, unless they involve in a Supreme Court ruling. But there's other cases that they follow criminal motions in evidence in which you rule, which I already know what that is. But they asserted that my father was convicted of manslaughter under the theory of imperfect self-defense as a result. Now, imperfect, it's an imperfect self-defense. The argument that the evidence was not legal significant to render a second-degree murder conviction. So they convict him under the Mississippi Code, anointed Section 97319. So it stated that the killing of a person being with the authority of law by any means or in any manner shall be murder in the following cases. So they convict him of Section 997-319 1B Rev 2014. So, and then because he had commenced an act of immediately danger to others and evinced a depraved heart regarding of a human life, although without any premeditation to the signs to effect it, therefore any particular individual shall be second-degree murder. But what they did not put in here is, and the defense lawyer should have rejected this because, first of all, they wasn't supposed to arrest him. I'm sorry. They were supposed to arrest him, but he wasn't supposed to be questioned or interrogated by the police. And then they put words in the police. They put words in the police report too, and they put words also in the court stating how he's a street man, and he ain't never been a street man. Why is it that Southern people think when you come from Chicago, you street like? You're not street. Especially a military man who's been in the military, who served the country, no matter if it's 3 or 5 years, they're going to be programmed in such a way that they won't be talking and speaking in that way because they know better. They know it's not allowed because if they run into another superior, they got to pose and they got to put themselves in position. So when he had been programmed to be this type of man, he would have not talked in that fashion at all. But okay, they said that it was an imperfect self-defense, intentionally killed. So they said that my father intentionally killed this man. Like he just walk up here to him and shot him. You know how some situations that you see, some crime scenes, you can tell that the person just walked up to you. Not just walk up to you, but walk up to someone and shoot you. Like it was premeditated, like it was intentional. Now, if it was an intentional act, the evidence in the home would have been intentional. He would have just walked up to him, hit him. There would have been no argument. He just would have walked up to him and got him. But since he was asleep, and I'm quite sure if my father was asleep and they woke him from his sleep, he was dismissed anyway. And it takes a while for your body to even calculate where you at, who you with, what your surroundings are, and plus you're dealing with mood orders, mood swings, constantly being cranky, in some cases pain because my father couldn't even work at a certain period of time because he was in pain and he had to be on the medication, which I do know. But and then I go down and then it says, Mr. Stuckey, I just had a few more questions to ask. Okay, You said such and such and such and push you. They saying that the man pushed him. And then you said you push him more than once. So two men are standing there talking to each other. And the man pushed him. And then, like I said, my father's not the type of person. He's not going to fight you. He's going to let you. Because I would do the same. He's going to let you do all, especially if it's just you and him in the house. And if someone is pregnant and they're not there, he is not going to argue with you. He's not going to place his hands on you. He's going to find the right time to break your arm and your neck. That's what he's going to do, because that's the first reaction of a veteran who don't need to use a gun. He's going to break your arm and your neck. He's not going to argue with you. He's going to look at you and find your weakest defense and take your ass out without a gun. And excuse my French. That's how my father is, because I have witnessed my father plenty of times, the way he stands, the way he moves, his body language. He would have never grabbed a gun or any type of weapon. He would have fought you, because that's the way he have always been. He used his hands. He always have used his hands. He's not going to pick up a gun. Only a punk will pick up a gun and shoot you. But a real man gonna fight you. And my father is and will always be a real man. He's not going to fight you, but with his fist. And he's not going to shoot you. So whoever shot this gentleman, my father woke up, and we know spirits are involved, because spirits can be changed at any given moment. A person who's coming after you, and that's the devil, could remove those spirits and place them in somebody else and give you spirits that a crime that just happened. And we know this. And I know this is a spiritual one with my father, because my father was not and is not the type of man that will shoot you. He's not, like I said, he's not going to argue with you. I have witnessed this over and over again about my father and how he is, how he stands. He stands 33 degrees. The way he moves have always been like a man. He's not going to touch you in any other way or any occasion. There would have been times when I was dating a gentleman, and my father was observing him. He was reading him, and he was talking with him, man to man in his eyes. And I already knew what my father would do. My father would use his hands. I already knew that. And my father, and he spoke all the time, and my father would tell me that too. He would never pick up a gun unless he had to. And it had to be justification for him to have done that. Now, they said that they asked him, were you scared when he pushed you? Are you serious? Were you scared? If we're not talking about a man who went to war, how in the hell would he be scared? Then he said, my father said, no, I have not met a man I was scared of. I met men I did not want to mess with. Now, come on. What kind of man would say that? I don't want to mess with. Come on, please. We're not talking about veterans who went to war, that learned to fight, that learned to fist fight, that learned to defend themselves with not just a weapon, but with their hands. Why would they put this in the report? They said, so you wasn't scared of him when he pushed you? My father said, no. I can't even believe that we even put this in this mess in a court report. Then it said my father testified that he could not have been found guilty under the authority of imperfect self-defense. I mean, really, Mississippi State, you need to be ashamed of yourself. What man? My father, and I can say this, my father ain't never looked like a punk, ain't never did no punk moves, ain't been a punk anywhere, any placement in his life. But the cross-examine that did this, oh, you need your ass whooped. And I really do, truly mean this. the statements in this argument, back and forth, they should have never put this in this court order. And Father, I repent for custody, but they should have never put this in this report. This report is false, and it was made up. And then it said, well, he was not afraid of the gentleman, but he did not believe the gentleman would cause him serious harm. So if he didn't believe that the gentleman would cause him serious harm, why would you say that he shot him and he believed that it would cause him, to serious harm? A man is facing a man, and it would cause him serious harm. He will have no type of feelings. It will cause him to alarm in any type of way to shoot you. Somebody else did this, and he blamed my father for it completely. And my father walked up in the middle of a mess. And that is why Mississippi, President Trump, this whole case needs to be looked at, because I know my father did not do this. This was premeditated by someone else, and my father was the victim, and the situation turned around and got the person who had planned it all along. Just as if they had tried to plan it against someone else, and they probably had did this before, and they finally got caught. And I believe that's what happened, because there's no telling how many times they had done this, because people and spirits would place themselves and pinpoint you in every type of way to get what you have. And I believe these people have done that more than once with veterans. And I bet you if they research this young lady who my father was, they will find out that she had did this with her brother more than twice. So if you guys can please give me a message. Send me your point of view, and what do you think about the case? Because I truly believe that my father is an innocent man. And I'm not just saying this because I'm his daughter. I'm saying this because of the report on this document is falsely made. So I hope you enjoy. And I lose words from what I am containing in my spirit right now, because the Mississippi State versus Ernest Stuckey need to be reopened, and the Supreme Court needs to look at it. So, guys, if you can send me letters, my address is on Facebook. Send me letters, and send me a letter so we all can ask President Donald Trump, to relook at this case, because it is something to be looked at, and it needs to be reheard, because they did some injustice things. Thank you, and have a blessed day.